about what you do and what a music supervisor does.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for having me here. It's an honor to be here. It really is. And music supervisor is multifaceted. It covers a lot of different territory. It covers music publishing, it covers records, it covers administration, it covers legal stuff, it covers music clearance. You wear a lot of hats, and you have to. There's a lot of different masters that you have to respond to. There's production companies, there's studios, there's network people, there's producers, directors, and so it's kind of a difficult balance to balance all that stuff. But it's really rewarding, and I'm lucky to be one of the few music supervisors actually making a living doing it. I think music supervision, it's probably one of the toughest jobs I've ever had, and I've worked at a studio, I've worked at a music publishing company, I've worked at various studios, and music supervision it's complex because everybody loves music. So, most people love music. That's the reason that I got into this thing, other than the fact that my family's been involved with it my whole life. Music is one of those things that, it sets your soul free, it's one of those things that makes us happy, makes us sad, does all that stuff, evokes all those kind of emotions that are human, so when you talk about music supervision and people say, well, how do you do your job? Well, it's a lot of different things, anybody can sit down and marry a piece of music to a piece of film. I'm sure a lot of us have done it in our heads, and you think, well, you hear a song and you say, well, that would be an amazing piece of music to lock to a film or a television show. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is the actual inner workings and the mechanism that makes all that happen. You have to call people to get the song cleared, and there's publishers that charge you money, and there's budgets that you have to, adhere to, and so it's a very complicated piece of business. It really is, and on any given day, it's one of those jobs where, at the end of a day, you're either incredibly gratified or you say, why am I doing this? Why did I choose this? And so it's just, it's one of those things that, it's the yin and the yang of the entertainment business. There's good and bad to all this stuff. So basically, I got into this thing because, I was born into a family that's a musical family, musical business family, not a musical family, a musical business family. And we were talking, and I said, because he asked me how I got into this thing, and we had like these amazing people at our house when I was a kid. Like I grew up with Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller and Phil Spector, and not that I'm proud of having Phil Spector in my house, because right now that's not really a great thing to mention. But these were all like amazingly creative people, and so I grew up in that kind of environment, and I was spoon-fed all that stuff. And I grew up like 4 or 5 years old listening to the Coasters and Elvis Presley, and the amazing thing that's happened for me is I get to work on this show that's actually being produced here. It's a mini-series called Elvis, it's amazing to me how all that stuff works, how the cycle just, keeps going. So anyways, I got into this thing because, like I said, I love music, and what happened for me was, I was a hippie, and I went to Humboldt State University and studied cannabis sativa, and came back to Los Angeles and got a job at Columbia Pictures as a music coordinator for film and television. And this was before soundtracks were popular. It was like late 70s, and it was before the the incredible boom of soundtracks. It was before Saturday Night Fever and you know, all of those marketing tools that were used as templates to help sell your movie as well as help sell your soundtrack album. So I moved from there and went to work for a company called American International Pictures, which was the king of B movies. It was Sam Markoff, and he produced all these amazing B movies, you know, like Teenage Werewolf and all that shit, you know. So we had a deal with Casablanca Records, which was at the time Neil Bogart's company, who had, you know, Donna Summer and Kiss and, you know, all the disco, disco people, and so we put out a bunch of records, and because it was, again, like I said, there was this incredible explosion with soundtrack albums, and everybody wanted their artists on records and in films because it helped promote them, and et cetera, you know, the drill. And I then went to work for a music publishing company called CBS Songs, which is now EMI Music. The guy who ran CBS Songs, a guy by the name of Mike Stewart, called me up and said, listen, we bought this catalog from MGM, which was MGM Films, and they had this huge music publishing catalog. And he said, we need somebody to help consult, and you know, we need to get and exploit this stuff into films and television. And as a music publisher, they weren't doing that. They did it, but it was kind of, you know, it wasn't proactive. So they wanted somebody to do it on a proactive basis. So they called me up, and I went over there and started to work all this stuff. And one thing led to another, and you know, they hired me permanently, and that turned into another job. And I went to work for my brother, who Jerry knows, and I went to work for Warner Brothers, which then became Warner Chappell. And from then, I got a call from a guy who was running Lorimar Television, and they wanted to upgrade their music for their television shows, and they wanted it to become more contemporary. And so they hired me in the beginning of 1990. So I went to work at Lorimar, which then became Warner Brothers Television. And